Welcome one and all, my name is Tavas, and did EA really take a whiz on the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier? This might seem like a weird question, but this question of mine does come from a YouTube video produced by a well-known gaming pundit. And trust me when I say I use that word with utmost respect in this case. In said video, the pundit pretty much literally said EA did. Why? Well, it all comes down to how EA and DICE portrayed World War II in Battlefield 5, positioning themselves as a self-proclaimed knights of a new social order, breaking new ground by bringing more diversity into war games. They did this by enacting a decent amount of historical revisionism. They did in essence retcon World War II. And how did they do this? Well, by putting in stories that they did not A. have to get any license to, and B. had full control over. This of course did actually push out some of the real actual war stories. Combine that with the fighting words thrown around from EA and DICE, and it's easy to see how someone who comes from a culture that tends to glorify their soldiers and the wars they fight in, and how they would feel rightly pissed off. Now, for some context, me, myself, and a fairly big part of DICE are Swedes. We do not have a warrior culture as such, and we have a very complex and uneasy relationship with World War II. So if when we would write stories about this awful time and place, we tend to not put as much stake in the glory part. Now, said pundit did go off because EA and DICE did not take the chance to use some actual real-world examples of diversity. And that I agree is sad. But as someone who spent 5 years at university learning how humans tick and how to tell a good story, I can tell you that it's much preferred to simplify the narrative and have a story that you can control. If they used more of the real-world stories, that would have been less parts they could have controlled and more potential for backlash, and even some quasi-legal action going on. This video also came off like this was the first time someone had the audacity to tamper with history in regards to World War II, elegantly disregarding that everyone does this, from Hollywood to game companies to artists. That is not an excuse, but it served well enough as an explanation. Now I agree that EA and DICE did perhaps pound their own chest a bit much in regards to inclusion and diversity. They did pretty much thumb the nose at anyone who said anything about it and had a very arrogant attitude about it. But at the same time, I feel that in order to find a nice middle ground, you first must go pretty far over the line. Just like in a negotiation, if you start with your bottom line, you have no room to maneuver. So if EA and DICE have to write a World War II story, rather than make a World War II documentary, to feel good doing what I see is a very good step in the right direction of inclusion and diversity. That's okay with me. As I said, working over World War II history is not something new. And if we slowly keep normalizing diversity in games, maybe in a generation or so we might not even need to worry about it. Did EA and DICE do this with grace and tact? Heck no. In fact, it was done with the blind bravado that we've seen an awful lot of lately. A sense of being immortal that I think will be the actual downfall of some larger studios. But at the same time, trying to understand the cultural differences between American and Swedish, and the way they look at World War II, and how they look at diversity in society. This could explain part of what this kerfuffle is all about. I don't know, but I fail to see how this would be EA pissing on the graves of heroes, and think it's more of a matter of culture clashing and people feeling squeezed with this clash and needing an easy event. But that is for the future to figure out. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, and play fair.